Welcome to the Totally Honest Cooking Show. I'm Mark. Today we are doing baked frittata, and I'm going to do it two ways. We're going to start with a leek and potato frittata with cheddar. This is a leek. You're going to cut off this grody looking part up here, and then we're going to do some things to it. That's stage one. Right. Now there's a couple things you can do after that. You can slice it into rings. You can cut it in half and make kind of half moons. Or you can cut it into strips. Today I'm going to be doing strips. I'm going to cut the nubbin off on the bottom. And then I'm going to cut it in half. And then I'm going to kind of open it up like a book. Now, note, I have no idea whether this is how you're actually supposed to do this, because I didn't look. But that's how the Totally Honest Cooking Show rolls. Notice how quickly it is coming apart. And I'm going to do it again with this one. So once I have it broken down like this, I'm going to make little bite-sized pieces. Once our leek is done, I'm going to stick it in a bowl. And then we're going to rinse it. And soak it for a few minutes. You're also going to agitate it around a little bit like this. The purpose of this is because they're kind of dirty. The way that they grow, that outside part grows around the inside part. You wind up getting sand and grit in there, and it's just better to do it this way. We're going to let that sit for a minute. Then I'm going to prep my potato. Again, you're just going to cut it into your preferred form factor. In this case, I'm going to go with cubes. You could, of course, peel your potato. I'm not going to. There are a lot of nutrients in the skin. If you look into the history of leeks, there's a lot of interesting stuff about leeks. Apparently, in ancient Rome, they were the preferred onion type, with regular onions being for peasants. I thought that was interesting. And Jerkins put in that bit about the emperor that was nicknamed Leek Eater, right? That was a thing, right, Jerkins? Jerkins is my historical researcher and editor and general channel manager. You can talk to Jerkins in the comments section. They're very helpful to have around. Once you're done with your potato, you're ready to drain your leek. Just going to take it over to the sink, run it through your colander. You can also give it an additional little rinse if you want. We're going to give that a minute. Then we're going to come over to the stove where I got my cast iron waiting. Going to preheat that a little bit to medium. Throw a little bit of oil on there. Okay, that was more than a little. Once our skillet is hot, we're going to go ahead and add our potatoes. Remember, you want to hear that sizzle right away when you're cooking. If if you got to throw a test cube down to see if you're sizzling yet, go ahead and do that. We're going to drop in a little salt. Let these potatoes give up a little bit of moisture. That was a pinch. And then I'm going to throw in my leeks. And you want these to give up their moisture. They should cook down a little bit. That was way more leek than we needed. We probably should have done another potato. But, leftovers. They're already starting to wilt. So I'm going to start adding some seasoning. I'm going to shake on some garlic. And some rosemary leaves. Now, note that I'm not measuring this. This is a good opportunity to either learn how to eyeball or to taste as you go. Don't forget to hit it with some pepper. I like pepper, so I used a few twists. I think it probably would have been in our best interest to let those potatoes cook a little bit more before I threw in the rest. But that's okay. As long as they cook through, you know. They don't need to be super crispy because we're baking the frittata. Fun fact, frittata is Italian for omelet. Hey, Jerkins. Jerkins. Do a quick check. Is frittata Italian for omelet? What? Okay. Jerkins is telling me in the earpiece that I don't have that frittata is actually Italian for fried. And so baking a frittata is weird. But that's okay. A little bit more garlic. I understand that I said a little bit and then I put in a lot of it. Oop. Okay, while that's cooking up, I'm gonna dry out my bowl. And I'm gonna get 6 eggs. Now you may well ask, if frittata means fried, why are you baking it? And that is a valid question, of course. Now, your traditional frittata, you cook on the stovetop, right? And you do that for about 15 minutes. I worry that I don't know what I'm doing well enough to do that. Plus, once you're done, you've got to either put it under the broiler or get this little handheld device that you heat up and you put over it, and it crisps it. I'm just going to cut out the middleman and throw it in the oven. While that's going, I'm going to take my freshly dried bowl and I'm going to crack 6 eggs into it. Then I'm going to whisk them up. Then I'm going to add in a little splash of milk. Okay, we've got our egg mixture. This is done. I'm gonna preheat my oven to 400 degrees. Don't worry, we'll have time for it to heat up. I'm not done. And we're gonna butter our pie pan. You can do this in a pie pan. You could also probably do this in the cast iron. I just feel I'm better off getting everything out of the pie pan than I am trying to get things out of that cast iron skillet. And I did promise you that we were making 2 frittatas today. So I'm also going to butter this loaf pan. For science, we're going to see what happens. In hindsight, I probably should have had Jerkins research that instead of, you know, what does frittata mean in Italian? But here we are. Okay, we're going to take a cup of our mixture here. Dump it in our egg. Big pinch of cheese. Maybe not that big. It'll be okay. I'm going to take this out, and then I'm going to put it on this rest that's been here the whole time, promise. Then I'm going to mix it around, make sure everybody is incorporated. Especially that big block of cheese that's all stuck together over there. And then we're just going to pour it into the pie pan. And I don't feel like that's enough filling. So I'm going to add more. Can't stop me. In the notes, we'll call that 1.5 cups. I'm going to whisk this around a little bit. Well, mix it around. Okay, Jerkins. Clean this up and roll back to 1. Welcome to the Totally Honest Cooking Show. I'm just kidding. I've got the cast iron skillet back up to temp. I've got this spinach that I've been spinning in the salad spinner. And I'm just dropping it in. Did I get you with that fake out? Haha. Fooled you. Especially you, Jerkins. I know you were fooled. Mix it about occasionally so it doesn't burn. Maybe even turn it down a little bit. And while those are going, I'm going to throw on these 8 ounces of sliced mushrooms. Usually I slice them myself, but there's no shame in letting the grocery store do the work. Now, the problem with using fresh spinach is that you never know when you have enough spinach. Right? Because it cooks down a lot. Like a lot. Like a lot. Hit it with salt. Due to the nature of the dish, I figure it's just easier to season the filling and let the eggs do what they do. Whisk 6 eggs again. Splash of milk again. Again, notice that there are no real measurements happening here. You can cook these mushrooms down as much as you want. I'm thinking a couple more minutes. Giving them a shake of basil. Giving them a shake of garlic. Actually, that was oregano. See, oregano. Now I'm giving them a shake of garlic. Remember, I am not a professional, as Jerkins will certainly tell you. Maybe even several times in this video already. Let's give these mushrooms a little bit of time. Add a little pepper, because sometimes I forget. Okay, that looks good enough for me. We'll see how we did. I'm just gonna pour all this in there. And not all of it. Most of it. All of it. Why not? Why not? Why shouldn't I do that? We'll find out if it's a terrible mistake. Okay. And for this one, we have Parmesan cheese. Just going to take a big pinch. Mix it around. Incorporate. Come over here. Pour it in our loaf pan. Almost forgot the word loaf. Jerkins has said before in a previous episode that I lose object permanence when I do this show. Now we're going to take this and put it into our 400-degree oven. We're going to take this one too. Okay, it's been 25 minutes. These came out beautifully. There are some interesting results though if we look at it. There is clearly more browning on the top on this one than there is on this one. If you look at it, you can also see browning along the sides. So it should be okay. And browning here. I'm thinking that while I let this one rest before I carve, I should put this one back in and let it cook a little longer. See if I can get that top to brown up. Another 10 minutes or so later, and that looks better. Still not as good as that one though. I feel like I would have had to leave it in much longer. Another 10 minutes or so later, and this one looks a lot better than it did the first time. I feel like we could have gotten it darker in places, but I also felt like it wasn't really worth the time investment. So now it's time to cut ourselves a couple slices. I know some of you are thinking, but Mark, what are you going to do with 12 eggs worth of frittatas? These bad boys will freeze for about 3 months, according to a Google search I did. When you're done, just wrap it up. There's a slice of the one. And now we'll go in for a slice of number 2. Oh. And there we go. And look at that. Look at that cross section. That's a nice one. I made these 2 frittatas. You can too. Remember, anyone can cook, especially you. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, and I'll see you next Wednesday. Bye.